Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive with myself, Erin Chandler. It's the Lionsgate portal. Everybody is excited about portals, the significance of numbers, the significance of the energy, the very fact of what portals even mean, and all the space in between, which is perhaps more important than the actual portal. We're going to talk about that today. So I feel very, very excited. I have been receiving some messages from Serapis Bey, Master Serapis Bey. And a lot of this has to do with the portal energy, the 8-8, the Lion's Gate. We're also going to talk about gatekeepers in the channels. Yes, indeed, I am hearing, because it's very important to understand the different aspects of portals, gates, all those different energies, the entities that can come through, what they have to do with timelines, what they have to do with manifesting. So manifestation, Lionsgate. I'm hearing Katy Perry, "You're gonna hear me roar." That's the song that I am hearing with this. So I want to separate this out. Serapis Bey, often ascended master and teacher of the fourth ray, I am hearing. Chohen, Lord, there are pieces of manifestation that are often missed, and the concepts of them and the structure of them and the discipline of them. Oftentimes we spend time, I'm just jumping right in here, friends. Oftentimes we spend time simply doing a ritual on a new moon, on a portal, setting an intention and taking a specific action with an energy. This is very important. However, the most important aspects is the steps that we take in the in-between, the reminder to the universe that, yes, I want this. Yes, I'm taking another step towards this. All of those different things, it is part of the structure and the discipline, particularly those of grid lines. We are going to jump to portals. The meaning of portals are simply an energetic, he's showing me, it's almost like I'm hearing black hole sun. It's almost like if we take a portal, we think about it jumping through a portal from one world into another, from one version into another, one life into another, one timeline into another. That also requires us to be moving from one way of being to another way of being. This is particularly true because oftentimes we are all trying to manifest or using the law of attraction, or what we were told was the law of attraction, which was missing a few minute details. Side note, for most of us who are we're just regular everyday people, and we just want our lives to be better, and we want to dream bigger and achieve goals and have abundance in all ways, shapes, and forms. Now, the pieces and parts of this Serapis Bey is like, he's telling me there was a step missing in the structure that was aligned on the earth plane. Not that it was missing on the earth plane. The humanoids, I am hearing, missed a certain step or a certain understanding or a certain facet of it. He says this is why Lakshmi came a few weeks ago. If you have not watched that already, or if you really felt drawn to that, please watch this again. At the end of this video, I will link it so you can simply click on it and it will take you directly to that video with Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance. So if we go back to this, he says the structures are mind, body, and spirit. If everything is mind, body, and spirit, you must manifest with mind, body, and spirit. You must align with coherence, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, your thought processes, and your physical body taking the actions aligned with those new aspects, new thought forms, or new trajectory of the momentum. And this is very important because embodiment of the energy is the hardest part. It's usually the hardest part because we are faced with what is in front of us. When we talk about the Lionsgate portal, Serapis Bey says there are multi-dimensions that are accessed when we go through portals. It is not enough to say, here I am at the portal and I want to manifest this and I'm going to write it down and I'm going to dream big and I'm going to do these things. I'm going to imagine it. On the 3D earth plane, the purpose of a portal is to amplify it, to jump from one level to another, from one place, one realm to another realm. Once you reach the other realm, don't forget the steps you had to take to even get to the portal, to be able to jump through the portal, because not everybody jumps through portals, friends. Not everybody makes the cut, is what I am hearing in terms of energetically embodying it. So there's all the work we did ahead of time that brings us to the portal energy. And when we're jumping through it, it's an increase of energetic momentum, catapulting you to that next version, that next timeline, that new school of thought in the ascension process. These are all interconnected. Let's talk about, oh, not yet. I'm hearing not yet. The portal piece is very important because it's often misused or misunderstood. In order to move through a portal and into a different version, a different life, you must have embodied that different life or different inversion. For example, who do you want to be? If I am this version over here on this timeline, where I am wildly abundant in all ways, shapes, and forms, there's no obstacles, there's no this, there's no that. Who is that person? It's the misconception between this is who I am now and I want to jump through the portal, but I still want to do things the same way. And it doesn't work because you get sucked back out the portal. It's like you get a taste of it and then you go back because you have to realign all of those different things in order to embody that state. It's a state of being, and everybody's state of being is slightly different because what we are doing is we all have different dreams. We all have different goals. What is abundance to me is not abundance to somebody else. What is one man's treasure is another man's trash. This is the thing. We can't necessarily go by somebody else's dream or goal. We have to go by our own innate soul's knowing. I am being told very clearly, there are those of you who have gotten stuck in a lack loop. This is easy to do when you are surrounded by people who are compressed, very dense vibrational frequencies of lack. So if you're trying to manifest this state of being or these different things, but your entire thing is surrounded with the exact opposite, that there's a lot of resistance that can happen energetically. And there's also an opportunity for you to look at all of the different aspects of why certain people are still in the certain dense frequencies and energies. So you can view it two ways. It depends on your journey, it depends on where you're at, depends on how much work you've done, and it depends on your focused thought forms. So you can view it as taking on the energy of all the people with lack around you, or you can look at it and say, hold on, this is a giant opportunity for me to see all the ways that maintains the systematic, energetic, low density frequency of lack and limitation. If you want to jump through a portal to a new world, friends, you have to embody it, mind, body, and spirit. That's not always easy. Sometimes people talk about it like, oh, you just jumped to this. Oh, you just changed this. But it's the momentum. It's the little steps in between. If I jump through a portal, then I have to maintain and take all the steps and the thought forms and the this and the mind and the body and the spirit. Serapis Bey is saying that is the structured piece that must come into play. For example, I'm seeing the yin and yang. So if the yin is the feminine energy and it's receiving thought forms and it's doing all these things of receiving and imagining and divining, and then you have your yang energy, which is like, I'm going to take the action that is aligned with the yin that I have received, that is aligning my mind, body, and spirit. So see the interconnection of the triad as well. This is the spirit, this is your mind, this is your body. If you're only doing the action of the body, we'll use body as an example. If you're only doing the actions, but you're not receiving the divinity, the thoughts, the thoughtfulness, the recipient of the imaginations or the downloads, I guess you could say, or the information that you need, you're just taking action, action, action. But you're missing the most integral part that makes it easier and gives a more directed or focused action. This is for some people, not everybody. Some of us, we're all up in our yin energy and we're very intuitive and flowy and receiving. And we're learning to have discipline and take action. That's what it is. This side of it is learning that aspects of it. Whereas there are others of us who are very, very good at taking action. We are highly disciplined. We are very focused, but sometimes that can be very rigid and can be misaligned with needing to control versus just, clear and concise, taking the right action. So those of us who are in that state, oftentimes we're trying to, or we're called to kind of invite in and learn to let go a little bit and to flow and to receive those things and to imagine them. The perfect manifestation mode is to take that yin and the yang and spirit and allow that triad to flow. We receive, we take an action, go back up to spirit. We receive, we take an action, go back up to spirit. Here's the spirit, here's the mind receiving the thoughtful, and here's the body taking the action. You could put it in that analogy as well. When I first started out working with people who were bereaved parents and those dealing with grief and teaching the alchemy of grief and me learning it myself, the very first thing my daughter told me was, we are teaching in the triad, Mom. And I remember thinking at the time, what do you mean we're teaching in a triad? Everything comes down to the Holy Trinity. Serapis Bey says fourth ray is transcendence. We cannot transcend that which we have not harnessed or made strong in the Holy Trinity. These are very important aspects because we're taking spirituality and making it a reality. So for those of you who are like, oh, I was up on this area and I was doing really good and I was manifesting and everything was in flow and it was wonderful, and then all of a sudden I was back over here, there's something about this coming in that's very specific. It is in relation to coming home. Like I was in this fifth dimensional consciousness and it was amazing and doing it. And then I'm like back over here in third dimensional consciousness and what the heck is happening? Because things just got harder, or this showed back up, or this or that, whatever it is, my friends, you're being asked to take your fifth dimensional experience and bring it home. This is home. You are incarnate in a physical body on the earth plane for a reason. So we're bringing it home instead of you saying, oh, I want to go back home, or I had to come back to earth so I don't come into home. Listen, the ascension process is essentially a descension process. It's the descension of your higher self, your fifth dimensional consciousness, your starseed origins, becoming rooted and embodied in the physical plane on the 3D earth. You all want to go back home. And Serapis Bey is like, you are here to anchor home here. And that means bringing those divine teachings, bringing that divine light, bringing that new way of doing, bringing all those things. I'm hearing go big or go home. I actually have a lot of different energies streaming right now. The other thing I want to say about manifestation is you are manifesting all the time. We kind of look at these portals as an amplification or the best time to move with the energy to manifest. What's missing is the in-between. The in-between, we are manifesting all the time. Every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every action. We are manifesting into physicality, into form. Everything originates from the imagination. The universe is the mind, in essence, is what you could say. So when we look at it from that aspect, it's the in-between. It's not, you know, you want to get from here, I'm here, and I want to get to this goal. It's always the in-between. It's always the steps in between. It's always, how do I get there? What route do I take? But it also includes your thought forms because they're manifesting all the time. You are manifestation vehicles. You are vessels of the divine for divine manifestations. But sometimes the manifestations that come through aren't necessarily aligned with A, what we want, B, sometimes they're shrouded in darkness or poor thought processes or negativity or old emotional experiences. In addition, some of us are manifesting from a standpoint that is based on social conditioning. We're not even manifesting what we want. We're manifesting what we were programmed to want. We're manifesting what we were conditioned to focus on that we should want. That's the ideal. That has zero to do what your soul actually wishes to create. So there's a lot of different facets to be aware of. And awareness is a giant master key. It is the biggest key there ever was, because the moment you have awareness, that gives you an opportunity to take two paths. Take the fork in the road. With awareness, you have the capability of being able to observe and step back and see which path will take me which way. Which thought should I embody? I have this negative thought and I have this positive thought. I have this thought of doubt and I have this thought of, wow, hope. Both thoughts take you on a different path. So when we move through the portal, now is time to, yes, let me tell you, says Ellen. Okay, now is the time to talk about the gate. So this is the lion's gate. Lion is courageousness, the bigness of the heart. When it's balanced, it can also be when it's imbalanced or has negative distortions. It can also be sucked into pride, getting in your own way. There's a lot of different facets to that, but as in anything, there are both positives and negatives, ups and downs, balances and imbalances. There's both aspects to everything, but we're going to focus on the positive aspects. So the lion's gate, let's talk about gates. This is the lion's gate portal, and it is also 8-8, which is the infinite, the sign of infinity. We could jump through portal after portal after portal. Some of you are jumping timelines rapidly. It's like onto the next, onto the next, onto the next. And I want to tell you, it can be a little bumpy when we do that, because things show up and it's wonderful, and then it falls away. And then something else shows up and then it's wonderful, and then it falls away. That's you jumping timelines, versions of you, thought forms, the ascension process. So let's talk about gates. Think about it. Think about a physical gate, friends. This is the lion's gate. Gates, think about the lion as the gatekeeper, if that makes sense. And those who step through the gates, or the gatekeeper, suddenly become more aware of different aspected dimensions. Serapis Bey says, go back to the dimensions. We are multidimensional beings. When we move through a portal, we often have access to higher frequency dimensions, 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way up to the 12th dimension. This is important because there are gatekeepers in front of each dimension, whether we are aware of that or not. Sometimes we have a dark, dense, negative, heavy energy that is the gatekeeper for us. That has to do with, I'm hearing, addictions. It can have to do with trauma. It can have to do with a lot of things. Sometimes the gatekeeper, who we don't even realize it, who's a gatekeeper to our next level, is a parental figure that perhaps had distortions, or we have deep wounding in childhood from. These are the gatekeepers of all the different gates. We wish to, I'm hearing the Tao Te Ching, opening the gates. And then there's some other teaching or some other system that somebody uses that talks about gates, human design, that's it. They talk about the gates and what the gates mean for each individual's energy based on your birthday. I think that's it, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyways, I'm not talking about those gates. I'm talking about gatekeepers. Divinity, I'm talking about moving through the dimensions, gatekeepers. Most of us are unaware that there even is a gatekeeper. You could think about the concept of heaven, and remember the gates of heaven. There's a gatekeeper at the gates of heaven, is there not? If you have a gate, obviously there's a gatekeeper, otherwise you wouldn't have a gate. And that means that only certain people can go through, only certain energies can go through. All of these different facets come into play when we think about the lion's gate. Go back to the infinite. All of you are infinite beings of light, part of the one infinite creator. When you are aware of gatekeepers, when you are aware this is a lion's gate, it requires you, those of you jumping through the portal, this means the gate has opened, allowing you the opportunity to step forward in higher dimensional aspects, being able to view from multi-perspectives. This requires you to attune to a different version of you, perhaps a new archetypal understanding or a lesson. So, for example, friends, when I'm doing channels and I'm channeling these masters and all of these amazing things, those are archetypes. And that's actually in another video describing this, which I needed to share with all of you so we could have a deeper understanding of what the deeper purpose of channeling all of those different deities, gods, goddesses, and masters actually is. So if we think about it in this aspect, this is a lion's gate. It requires your courage. It requires your whole heart. It requires your courage to step into the unknown and do things differently. If you're going to jump through the portal, so we have a gate, we call it a portal. The portal is the amplification of the energy moving you towards that higher frequency, that higher timeline, that new way of doing things. The gate is the opening that allows you to assign a new gatekeeper, move to a new gatekeeper, move through that next gate, lion's gate. It requires courage. I'm saying this, I'm repeating this again, apparently, and they're, yes, let me tell you, says Ellen again. She says, it's important for everybody to understand when we move through portals, they're an amplification of energy. It's like jumping from this to this through the circle, right? Black hole sun. Think about black holes too. Those are portals in a way. Anyways, so let's go back to this. The gate is just as important as the portal. It's the lion's gate. Those of you who are willing to, I'm hearing, put it all on the line, or put all of your action and all of your energy and all of your focus into this courageous, heart-based manifestation or abundance or timeline that you want to. It's the lion's gate. I also wish to talk about Lyran consciousness. There are many of you obviously attuned to the lion's gate, Lyran, lions, all of those fun, beautiful things, the felines who are part of that kind of concept of consciousness and the way the earth plane was built. The gate is opening for you to be able to access higher dimensional frequencies. When you access higher dimensional frequencies, you are able to jump timelines because you're thinking new thoughts. Now let's think about the thought form I'm being told. Because we are manifesting all the time through thoughts, emotions, the mental aspects, or the subtle energy, mental body. What happens when we are focused on opportunities or positivity rather than the negativity? Suddenly all these other channels and opportunities start to open. So if you say a simple statement, like let's say in your in-between, everything's always working out for me, everything's always working out for me, that literally opens up all these channels of energy for things to work out for you. If you're like, I'm moving through a portal, I'm moving through this timeline, I want to manifest this and I want to manifest abundance, whatever it is. If you look at all the ways that you can manifest it, you just opened up all the channels to manifest it. So it's like creating your own world through thought forms. We think, I think a positive thought and, you know, that's just it. But friends, it's way more complex. It's actually very simple, but it is way more complex in the intricacies of the universal law and how it works. So if the universe is the mind and it is mental, think about it like this. When you think a positive thought, everything's always working out for me. Essentially, what is actually happening is you're opening the channels, you're opening the gates to all of the other opportunities to flow into you through a simple thought form. Vice versa. If my focus is on, these are all the reasons why it's not going to work, or catastrophizing or things like that, you literally just shut down any channel or opportunity that could come in. And it's fascinating to look at this. I'm looking at this from the macro, right? Because if I'm looking at the micro of, I thought this positive thought and nothing happened or nothing changed. It's the repetition and the consistency and the momentum, but it's also about maintaining the open channels. This is part of creating your own world and manifesting. So for those of you, I'm being told very clearly, if you have stuff that you wanted to create, things that you wanted to manifest, but then you didn't, or you got distracted, you got sidetracked, maybe you had a lot of doubt come in, maybe you had a lot of negativity, maybe life happened, because sometimes that happens. Maybe life just happened and it took you away from that, as in a distraction. Perhaps that's the case. This is the opportunity for you to double down, is what I am hearing. Double down on the energy, double down on your focus, and take the leap of faith and continue doing the momentum. Sometimes the hardest part is getting started. Sometimes the hardest part is not getting started for other people. Sometimes it's in the middle where you lose the motivation or you lose the momentum, or you haven't seen the lag time is really long, perhaps. For some of us, the lag time is long. Friends, there are things where it's been years, and sometimes it's a psychic knowing that it's coming, like, oh yeah, that's coming in the future. But other times it's like, no, it requires a lot for this type of a manifestation, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of focus, a lot of light and momentum. Sometimes the things we want to manifest requires us to learn a whole new set of tools, skills, ways of being, and ways of doing. Sometimes we ask to manifest something, and the lag time is not because we're not manifesting it. It's because we have to have these tools in place before we can do it. I feel like I talked about this on numerous videos. I know I talk about it in my courses in depth, but those are important aspects to understand. We're all at slightly different pieces, parts, and places. being aware of where you're at or which thing you're learning or where you're going is of the utmost importance, because that allows you to attune your focus to that. And for some reason, I feel like there's a lot of distractions on the earth plane that can take us away from our divine purpose and mission. Some of us right now, we're distracted by those things. We're distracted by life. Others of us, what's going on the earth plane is actually directly in line and in alignment with your actual soul's purpose. This is important to be aware of. Step back and observe. Some of you, it's both and, and it's important to be aware of that as well too. So when we're in this Lions Gate portal of the infinite, of the 8-8, I want you to stop and think about that as well. Think about the portal. It's the amplification of energy from one timeline to another, one version of another, one state of being to another state of being. In addition, it's the Lions Gate. The gates are being opened. It is up to you to walk through them. The portal and the gate move together. The portal is the amplification of energy. It's kind of like a tube. Sometimes I see it as like a tube where I jump in the tube and I'm like, okay, we're going over to this parallel dimension or this parallel universe or this state of being or state of mind. Whereas the gate, it's literally like, normally it's locked. You haven't been there yet. It's been closed. You're just coming up to the gate. Open the dang gate is what I am hearing from a massive team. Open the dang gate and walk through, jump through, run through. Do not be afraid of the unknown. The portal is the energy that amplifies it to get you through it. Most of you watching this channel are attuned, and you will know if this is you. You have done the work required and the foundations. You have a plethora of spiritual abundance, wisdom, teachings, earth plane experiences to be able to easily and effortlessly walk through the gate, use the portal to amplify the energy, to create the momentum and stay on that track. Remember the in-between. So yes, we're at the Lions Gate portal. Yes, it is massive energy. The whole purpose of these influxes of energy is to take advantage, to use it to multiply, amplify, increase the momentum, increase the fire, because we don't always have motivation all the time. Nobody goes through 24/7, 365 days a year with absolute motivation towards their goal. That's just not in alignment with the swing of the pendulum or the balance, I want to say. It's not in alignment with that. So there are these shifts and changes and moves, the tides ebbing and flowing. The whole purpose of these energies is to harness it, utilize the energy to your benefit, to create that momentum or get started if that's what it is. There's somebody on here, I'm hearing, I have a dream, da, 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 da. You've had a dream for a very, very long time. And I don't know whether it's gotten just put to the side, whether you've had doubt, whatever it is, it's time. It's time to create that. It's time to stop creating for other people or stop looking at other people's ideas. It's time to create that thing that you've been carrying with you the whole time. And maybe you haven't realized you've been carrying it with you the whole time. And it is very magical and is very beautiful. It's time for you to do that. This has just been a training ground this whole time. Everything up to this point has been your training ground. It is time. I'm hearing it's time. Master Hilarion says it's time. It's time. So with that being said, I am wishing all of you a ton of clarity moving through your ascension. I usually say peace, light, love, healing, transcendence. This time I want to wish you fire. I want to wish you clarity. I want to wish you momentum. I want to wish you that decisive yang action that has come through, the divining of the thoughtful action of what your soul yearns to create, and anything that you have not created in the past that you wish that you had of, or you're supposed to, because it's not necessarily in alignment with your soul's potential. If you have not created it, start creating it now. This is the time. This is the energy. This is the awareness, understanding of portal energy, but also understanding the gates and the gatekeepers, when the gate is open and when the gate is closed. When the gate is open, that's your opportunity to walk through it. Keep moving forwards. Do not look back. That's from also a previous channel recently. I can't even remember who that was through, which deity, god or goddess. that was through, but it was very clear. Keep moving forward. Do not look back. When we look back, the purpose is not to have nostalgia over toxicity or what could have been or what should have been. We're being called to move forward and create what can be, what should be. We're creating that. And we have to do that by moving forwards. We're not looking back to go back. We're only looking back to reflect on the state. It's kind of like the opportunity says, Ava, go back, mom, to the place where it's, if you're surrounded with circumstances or you look about you in the external world and it is not aligning with what you're trying to create, it is not in alignment with the frequency you wish to maintain. Use that as an opportunity. Why are those things there? Why do people do the things they do? What are the things that keep them on the loop? What is it that actually is condensing them in that low, dense, compressed energy? Use it as an opportunity to highlight, to illuminate all the things that potentially bring us out of the frequency we wish to be at, if that's your scenario. I feel like big time, I'm hearing this is somebody's scenario in spades. Like, yes, I'm this, and yes, I want to do this, but good Lord, I am surrounded by all this. At some point or another, usually most people are faced with that. I don't want to say we all generalize it because that may not necessarily be true. However, a lot of people, they experience that, and we're making things better. We're doing things better. We're doing it in a different way. And when we're doing things better or in a different way, it's usually because we've been in this old way or that low dense form. That's why we want to move to the high frequency form. This and that are true. So friends, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this channel with Serapis Bay and Ava and one of my guides. And of course, I hope you're taking in the knowledge that you need and the pieces that you need. And I trust that that happens on this channel because most of the people watching this channel usually or typically are very much self-aware and about growth and to grow about frequencies, aligning and higher frequencies. You're here for the ascension and the great awakening. You're moving to the fifth dimensional consciousness. Some of you are here in service for others. Technically, being in service to yourself is in service to others, and being told to drop that in for somebody, not to forget to take care of yourself. So I'm sending you all much love, light, peace, transcendence, and a whole lot of fire. See, the gates are open, utilize them, utilize the amplification of the portal energy to morph, jump, align to the next area, which is through those gates. And last but not least, of course, if you wish you have an intuitive reading with me or a mediumship reading, if you wish to have a quantum spiritual clearing so you can have some serious clarity and be relinquished of all the burdens of the energy of old and patterning and any dark, dense, negative energy, you can check that out in the video description box below. You can link to my website as well. I cannot wait to see you there. And until next time, beautiful souls.